All right, guys, think we're ready to get started? Sam, are you good? Oh, great. Well, thanks for everyone joining today, taking the time out of your day, to learn about some insights of SAP Digital Manufacturing. And then today's agenda is first, we'll be touching on the revolutionizing manufacturing excellence. Next, we'll be navigating the future with SAP Digital Manufacturing. And then moving on to crafting your smart manufacturing roadmap. And lastly, there will be a Q&A. And then to our speaker today is Sam Castro. Sam has been with SAP since 2005 and is currently the Senior Director of Solution Management, Line of Business Digital Manufacturing. That is quite a mouthful there, Sam. But
Wouldn't have it any other.
yeah, say that 3 times fast. But I'll go ahead and pass it over to you to get this kicked off.
All right, thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. So, as Mark mentioned, I'm part of the line of business manufacturing team, which rolls up under digital supply chain here at SAP. We are very active in our investment across digital supply chain, including the various pillars of PLM, planning, manufacture, deliver, and then, of course, operate as well. You can always see this showcase live and in full effect at Hanover Messe every year. We have a very big presence that we put forward there. We show all the latest innovations that we're doing across digital supply chain and into the platform and technologies there as well. Our partners also play a key role in bringing this showcase to life. It also sets the template for what we do in our industry hub showcases. So we bring this equipment to life here at the event, but we also bring that back to our office in Waldorf, the office in Newtown Square, and our offices in Tokyo, where we then continue to show throughout the year any customers that want to come through and see what we're doing. This is very, very relevant for our manufacturing customers who want to see the software in action. It's one thing to see it in a PowerPoint, see it in a presentation. It is another to actually see the system living and breathing and the resulting information and value that comes out the other end of it. So with that, when we talk about where manufacturing fits within, the important part for the diagram slide here, if you can picture it in your mind, is upstream from the manufacturing process, you have a very large sales and operations forecasting and consensus demand plan that gets put together. From there, we have our manufacturing planning and scheduling that sits in our ERP core. That is ultimately setting up the day-to-day operations for what we're going to expect our production volumes to be, for week by week, day by day, and then that schedule essentially hits a frozen fence, right, where you're not really changing it or adjusting it anymore, and that is handed off to the manufacturing layer. That's where digital manufacturing from SAP takes over. We handle that within what we call resource orchestration. Resource orchestration then allows us to still manipulate the sequence of the plan. It allows us to move things around according to availability of resources. Somebody may have had to have left work early to go pick up a sick kid from school, as an example, or that you may have a material shortage from a supplier. Truck just not arriving to your facility. There's a lot of reasons why the sequence of production will have to change, but resource orchestration allows us to move the allocation of work and the resources from the labor side around in order to execute that work. We then execute it within our MES core. From there, we are integrated into the warehouse, so we are tracking what's going into the different products and when, who's doing that work, and we're also tracking efficiencies and yields against that. So ultimately, the manufacturing view of what's going on in operations is very comprehensive and complete for execution of work on both the discrete process industries and even for planned order production scenarios. So a lot to keep in mind there. So the portfolio has certainly expanded over the last few years, and the investment in manufacturing is not slowing down either. You can always see that in our roadmaps.sap.com, and you can always go and have a look at what SAP Digital Manufacturing is up to and what we're planning on releasing in the coming quarters of time. So as you may know, the manufacturing suite, so SAP MII, SAP ME, are moving into the end of life category. So it is 12/31/2030. We are leveraging an initiative called Elevate in order to help customers not only understand what we're able to deliver and do today, in addition to what we could never do before with manufacturing suite, right? What we're doing now in digital manufacturing, but also to understand, what gaps may exist, or what custom content that may have been built in the MII layer, as an example, how that translates into what is now either available in standard in digital manufacturing or in the underlying business technology platform. Thank you for that. So digital manufacturing itself has multiple layers to it. There's an analytical layer that sits over the top that allows us to look across global operations, right? It's a strategic view that can look across multiple different types of production scenarios in multiple different locales, and we can filter that by different product groups. We can have it by different regions, and also by very specific issues around, let's say, downtimes or production quality loss issues that may be occurring. So we can look for the big macro trends. We can see what jumps out as potential initiatives that we want to double click into and invest in for continuous improvement. We have our orchestration piece, which I had mentioned, which is where the initial plan coming down from ERP is laid out so that we can handle things like an unscheduled stoppage of equipment, or somebody was planned to be on shift, didn't show up today, or had to leave early. What other certifications? How do we handle tool reservations on the discrete side and tool usage? That's all handled within resource orchestration. So we manage certifications of labor, certifications of tooling, we manage the work that's coming in, and we balance reality with what the expectations of plan was. Any change that we make in resource orchestration is also fed back to the ERP system. And this is what coordinates production in real time with the planning and logistics teams as well, with their different aspects and how they view reliability of operations or sequence of what's going to be available to manage. Do we hold a truck for an extra 15 minutes, or do we split the load into two separate smaller trucks and then send it down the road, right? What's really happening in the manufacturing area. We have live views of operations. We have what we call production line monitor, which will tell you exactly what's going on in the different areas against an OEE score. So we can show you availability, quality, and of course your throughput with your OEE score for different production capacities that exist in manufacturing. And then the next two layers that you're seeing here are a discrete work construction view. This would be the last mile, where an operator would be in a work area executing instructions with tooling and equipment around them in order to complete those different steps. And then the other view is what an operator would see in the process industry side. So execution of a recipe for an order in that batch, and what ingredients are going in, how much are being consumed, what the consumption quantities are actually, and what we're actually when we produce the goods receipt, back into inventory, what that quantity looks like. This can be manual if your process is not digitized today, or it can be driven from the automation side. We use Production Process Designer, which is that flow BPMN workflow model that you see in the bottom there. So as mentioned, the discrete MES was born from what we had learned from the Visiprise acquisition way back in 2009. It's something that we took a lot of learning off of in understanding with the ME product, and we matured that over time. And then we modeled what if we had to reimagine what we would do differently with manufacturing execution, if we had to reimagine how that would be, and what would be the best way to take that forward. That's what we've built new inside of digital manufacturing in our PTP cloud. So it's a similar experience, but with extra features. I mentioned resource orchestration, production process designer. We also have a bring your own model area here, where you can bring your own AI models, and you can drop them into the production in order to capture camera feeds, as an example, and route production in a happy path or in a rework path, or with a immediate repair in that location path. So there's a couple of different types of scenarios we can handle here. From very basic to very advanced. Brand new to the portfolio is a process MES. You can see this in this process MES engine live in our industry hub. You can see how we're managing work, we're managing batches, consumptions of ingredients and quantities, how we have a weigh and dispense portion built into this product as well for integration with weigh scales. But of course, we can feed complex machine instructions down to the dosing system, which is also issuing ingredients into like a mixer, as an example. where we're then going to go through multiple phases and operations to pre-mix, mix, heat, cool down, things like that. That pump out will pump to the different tanks and different storage locations with an inventory to be consumed later in a packaging and filling area, as an example. And we do show that full scenario end to end, along with how it integrates into quality management, plant maintenance, and also into the batch information cockpit for the genealogy of production. We are tracking labor. We just introduced the electronic signature for this, and we are, pushing very heavily into the process industries. The reason we can track genealogy and we know what's being consumed and what's being produced. So we know the production volumes and those quantities. We know what our ingredients are that are being put back, or if we need to stage them horizontally out of the warehouse into production and then move them from one area to another. Maybe one area is falling behind and we're not going to be able to produce it here. So in resource orchestration, we move it from process cell A to process cell B. We know to restage product from B over to from A over to B, so that we can execute the work there in the new area. So the orchestration of production with the warehouse is a standard component of the integration that we've built and that we deliver out of the box. This is tracked live, so we can see what's staged in production and what is in transit, how much is left over, if we need to request additional quantities. This can all be done by an operator line side singular environment. This is still digital manufacturing that's managing that. So it's not multiple systems. It's really just one system that is managing the execution of production in the manufacturing area. Production Process Designer is a stateful workflow engine. This is what the magic is behind the scenes. If I click a button and multiple things need to happen, we need to set up a workbench, and we have to set up control points and set points for pieces of equipment. We have to clear scale. We have to basically set up the environment for the work to be done in this make to order scenario. We have the ability to do that. We can wait for equipment to be ready before we allow the operator to continue. We can look for confirmations. We can prompt the operator for things. This is done with our stateful workflow environment. It manages application to machine to machine, and machine back to application, so that we can synchronize the state of the automation layer with the state of the application layer without having to have complex front ends for the operator to do that on their own. So this is really where we bridge the IT and OT layer of manufacturing and provide a seamless experience for the end user. And really is where we fully start to embrace the concepts of Industry 4.0. The analytics piece to this is primarily based off of SAP Analytics Cloud. So we've embedded Analytics Cloud inside of the manufacturing product. It's not a separate license. It is embedded into manufacturing. We'll have full purview and view of all of the MES data that's captured in digital manufacturing for reporting ad hoc, and we'll give you live views of operations. It will give you live views across operations. So anywhere where the digital manufacturing environment on the execution side has been applied is visible on demand in embedded SAC. It is intuitive. It is a low code, no code environment. You can put calculations there. You can put objects here that are shareable with your friends that you can then collaborate on, and gives a really nice set of capabilities for that enterprise wide and also the plant operations wide reporting. So as mentioned, embedded SAC, we've taken our world-class analytics tool and capability that we can look across an entire enterprise, and we've embedded it into the manufacturing model. This now interacts with the manufacturing data layer within our MES, so that you don't see table structures, you don't see primary foreign keys, you don't see any of that stuff. That complexity is hidden out from you. You do have access to order objects and labor objects and downtime objects and quality objects that are there behind the scenes that give you the data sets you need in order to visualize and build these reports for you, so that you can share them with your team. This is a really user-friendly, very intuitive tool. It's one that we didn't want to have to build separate on our own in a vacuum on the manufacturing side, and we were very happy to take advantage of and show the power of cloud and what that means for being able to leverage innovations in our technology layer all the way through to the application layers at the top, and really influence the ability of our community, our manufacturing end user community, to adopt and also drive improvements in manufacturing using digital manufacturing. So as mentioned, we do have an end of life that we're stating for ME and MII 15.5. It is 12/31/2030, right? So the end of 2030, that we're calling the end of life and standard maintenance for both ME and MII. Along the way, we do have our journey where we'll take people on for what we call this initiative of Elevate. Elevate, it already has services around evaluation, fit gap analysis, for what you're doing with the ME and MII products. Also timelines and paths for current features and product, and also what you can do in current scope with digital manufacturing even today. We do have multiple live customers across the globe using digital manufacturing in both the discrete and process side. So it is a proven solution across the core order-based industries. And we look forward to hearing from you about what your experience is as well in the future as digital manufacturing is adopted by you. And we know that digital manufacturing has some capabilities that the manufacturing suite did not, right? Scheduling and dispatching, as an example, being one of them. The workflow, the stateful workflow and production process designer, another key capability in manufacturing that didn't previously exist. But we also know that there were very core scenarios that were not only out of the box, but they were also content designed and built inside of the MII product, as an example. And will help you understand how those projects that you've put together on the MII content side translate into standard content in digital manufacturing, or even additional project work with the SAP BTP platform and leveraging the new innovations that we're providing in cloud and being able to scale with us, as we move things from the on-prem world, into the public cloud space. Now, extensibility for digital manufacturing comes in multiple flavors. It's one of the things I hear all the time. Well, oh, cloud, it's not extensible. Well, the answer is that's just not true. We have extensibility in many different areas, depending on what kind of extensibility you'd like to see. We're leveraging standard tools or standard technologies like Kima, as an example, to build, in a pro code manner, UIs and really fine tune, an operator experience with something custom tailored just for them. Certainly, you can leverage the standard pods, but if you did need to extend those, certainly Kima is a very viable and easy solution to adopt. Things like Signavio process automation, right? You see some work that we've done around understanding at a multi-site level, when we create an order, how long is our cycle time from order creation all the way through to delivery of a customer, and what in between is really causing the delays, including every step along the way in the manufacturing process. How many times did they go through a rework step? How many times did that we see these defects appear? Where did they show up? How much time was lost as a result of them? So certainly Signavio and the process automation stuff that we see coming out of that part of the portfolio, really great stuff. DataSphere giving us huge data scale out. Analytics Cloud, well, you already saw the embedded piece, but of course you can sit that over the top of the portfolio, and you can look across forecast versus historical ability to produce, and you can understand what your ability to produce to forecast looks like and what your potential losses look like as you project them out. Some really cool things capability wise at a multi-site level, and a material centric MES like digital manufacturing brings to you.
Losing it. But a little bit about KaarTech. We're a global company with over 10 locations globally, but we're headquartered out of Dallas, Texas. We have 17 years experience in the industry with over 350 customers globally. And our expertise, really it's across the board, but we really focus on manufacturing, oil and gas, professional services. As you see in the middle, we offer Ariba, Success Factors, Analytics Cloud, BTP. And then lastly, what I'll just touch on real quick, for anybody in the audience who's looking to move from ECC to S4 in the next 6 months to a year or so, we do have our own IP, which is called K-Turn. Really take a look at it and check it out. But basically, it gives you a roadmap and streamlines that process to make it a little bit easier for everyone and more efficient. And yep, thank you guys. This is my contact and Sam's contact information. If you have any questions or like any more insight, please feel free to reach out to me or connect with me on LinkedIn. And again, thank you everyone for their time. And please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, guys. And thanks again, Sam.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.